Okay, second video in the series on the grief cycle. I'm going to talk about anger in this one. Anger is one of the parts of the grief cycle that we don't like as much. Like, it's not as socially acceptable as acceptance. It's not as celebrated, and there's not a lot of room for it. A lot of times when we are presenting with anger, or our spouse is presenting with anger, we think of it as a problem, something that needs to be changed. This shouldn't be happening. Like, it's bad behavior. And I think that's worth questioning. When you see it in the context of the grief cycle, and you see anger as a normal and natural step to somebody processing and allowing and working through their grief, I think that can be very helpful to see it as a necessary and healthy and important step in working through a big transition or a big change in your life and in your marriage. Anger can look like anger directed at the church, at certain doctrines, at certain beliefs, at certain decisions that were made in your marriage or in your life, at certain people who taught you certain things. It can look very, very differently. It can look like anger at whatever your spouse has been reading or how they've been spending their time, anger at, the people who are influencing them or talking to them about their new belief systems. It can look like anger at yourself. Should have done better, should have approached this differently. Anger can really show up. And I just want to give you space and permission to have your anger, to experience your anger, to process your anger, to allow your anger, not to judge it or shame yourself for feeling a very normal and natural thing to feel in this type of transition, in this type of situation. I want there to be room for anger to be present. And I'm not saying bad behavior. That's different than anger. You can experience anger and not act out with bad behavior. But there should be room for anger as a normal and natural human emotion and part of the grief process and healing and working through that.